Hi everyone, this is Gary Wilson, and welcome to this week's live Path to Profit webinar. Welcome to, most of you are investor agent students, some of you are students in the rental profits or the flipping for profits program, and some of you are actually you're in the wholesaling program. But I think one or two of you might have done the property management program, which is good because that's probably one of the ones that's going to provide you the greatest boost in business. Okay, it's pretty amazing to probably hear that for some of you, but boy is it true. So in any case, welcome aboard to all of you, veteran agents and newer agents alike, whether you're in the US or Canada. We are live, we are recording now, so some of you, if you're not live tonight, you're listening to this in a recorded mode, so you're not able to participate in the Q&A, but you can certainly get the Q&A and benefit from it. For everyone else, you're by default in mute mode. I will from time to time unmute you, depending on the subject, and if it's warrants a conversation, we can certainly do that. Okay, but for the most part, just type in your questions in the question box, and I'm going to go ahead and go there now and see if we have any questions before we jump into tonight's subject. Let's see, everybody's saying hello, hello. Hello to both of you, to all of you actually, excuse me. I can hear, but I can't see. Let's see, everybody seems to be okay, Jackie. I'm not sure why you can't see. It might be a setting on your computer. It's unusual. Sometimes people can see but can't hear, and it's usually the sound setting, Hey, Maxine, how you doing? Let's see, Marcus said, oh, he can hear me, not sure if we're seeing the screen we want us to see. Well, I'm showing the screen that says workshop checklist. That's what my screen says. You should be seeing that. And let's see, Enza says that you can see the screen. Okay, that's good. Let's see, Justin Price, Diana's here with me. We are sharing call today, just so why. Okay, well, thanks, Justin and Diane, appreciate that. What's funny, because some are, okay, I think we're okay then. Everybody's saying they're, Nicole's saying she can't see the screen, but you can hear me. Well, that is interesting. Still can't see the screen. That's Justin Farrell. I only see Investor Agent Live screen. Okay, let me go back here and I'll do the screen share over again. Hang on one second. Okay, let me know if you can see the screen now. I just basically stopped it and restarted it. So you should be able to see that. Chosen screen or application to show. Windows, my webinars, Gary, runner profits at the pain, workshop, checklist, Word. All right, that went to Money Matters. Let me go back to checklists. Okay, now let me go back to the question box. And if somebody could let me know what you see now, that would be great. Sorry, you're seeing the screen that's say waiting for Gary Wilson's screen. I can hear you, but I can't see the. Let me go down to the bottom here and check the latest comments. Now I can see it. Okay, now we're in good shape. Sorry about the delay there, guys. I'm not sure what GoToWebinar is doing, but I guess just like any other software system, it's not perfect. Okay, so let's get started here, guys. Oh, real quick, always please make sure, even if you're on live, please make sure you still get the email from Beverly the next day, because she's giving you updates on a regular basis, things we're doing to the system, updates to content. I know in Canada we've got to do an update to some Canada Post information. We'll be getting to that within the next month or two, but for right now it's an easy enough tool to use, so we're okay there for the moment. Also, she gives you the webinar schedule upcoming and any other thing that you need to know relative to the system or the information. Okay, so without further ado, we'll check one more time for questions and make sure there's no any questions, and I think we're okay. Let's see, last one is Natasha Thomason. Hey, Natasha, how are you doing? So Natasha, this might be a good refresher course for you. I don't know that you have the checklist, but all this is going to go out for everyone. Everything I'm going to show you tonight is going to be included in the email tomorrow. This checklist here, the transcription right here. This is the actual. I'm sorry, that's Money Miner. Hang on 1 second. Where is the? There it is. The transcription of the recording for the subject. You're going to get that, just plain English, plain words, that'll coincide with the audio-visual recording. Okay. So all those things you're going to get tomorrow in the email. So let's just go ahead and get started in this and see how far we can get. First things first, when you're determined to use a workshop, just like any marketing campaign, you don't want to just like go out there and execute. You actually want to define your target. What is your ultimate goal? How many prospects do you want to generate? How many transactions do you want to generate? The average transaction size. All of those factors that can and should be measured. Everything should be believable to you, should see it within your field of vision, so to speak, should be attainable. And the reality is often many of you will exceed your expectations within a few short months. We've got plenty of examples of students who do this, who have done this, and their groups have grown dramatically. I mean, the most recent one that comes to mind to me are Beth Arnold, Manisha Mudikar, and Tanya Smitherton. They started in March. I think 24 of 29 registrants showed up at their first workshop in March, and in Little Hoover, Alabama. So for all of you who think, well, I'm in a small town, it doesn't get much smaller than Hoover. And their group, as of July, probably 5-6 weeks ago, was up to 271 people. We got plenty of examples like that. So just know this: once you get started, it's not so much. It's important where you start, but that's not the most important thing. What's important is the actions you take and how far you go. So we've had people start off with 6 people in their first workshop. I think mine was 6 people, my very first workshop, and it grew in 5 months to 78 people. I thought that was pretty good. Turns out you guys, many of you, are beating the pants off of me, so kudos to you. So in any case, set your goals. That's the most important thing, and write them down. My gosh, it's, you know, when you believe it, obviously it's achievable, but when you write it down, it becomes real. And in fact, I would love for you to share your goals and plans with me. If you shoot me an email, say, here's my goals for the workshop and here's my plan, and I'm going to kind of give you the plan tonight, just regurgitate it back to me, and let's have some strategy calls and keep you guys on track, okay? So set your goals, and then you can begin to make an effective plan. Also, the next thing is really important, is determine if there is a niche group you'd like to serve, determine what that niche group is, okay? And we've got all kinds of examples. My gosh, we've done groups, you know, of course, the one thing in common is they all want to invest. But what we do is we niche it down. So I want you to think of a niche group, a group of people with a common interest that you feel connected to. It could be vocation, a prior vocation even, it could be a hobby. We've done investor workshops for photographers, musicians. You know, for vocation, we've done them for nurses and teachers, and, you know, ethnicity and language spoken. We've done workshops for, you know, Asian Americans, Russian-speaking women. I mean, my gosh, you name it, and we've probably done it, okay? And many of you have done niche groups too, and shared your groups, your subject and your matters with me. We've done one really cool. It was for parents of preschool children. Now, if you think about it, that's a pretty large group. I mean, thankfully, because otherwise the human race would cease to exist if we didn't continue to have parents of preschool children. But the motivation is they're thinking, okay, in 15, 18, 20 years, you know, they've got to pay for university or college, whichever the case may be. And instead of investing in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, or in addition to that, they can buy a piece of real estate when their child is born, and maybe it's the duplex, and in 18 years they may double or triple in value. And the presentation for you to them is, you know, in 18 years, you let the thing grow in value over the 18 years. In 18 years, you refinance, pull out some equity to pay tuition, and you still keep the property so that it cash flows, and the cash flow will pay your child's room and board. So in any case, great. That was an awesome idea that we came up with on a strategy call with one of our students in Georgia, okay? In fact, I think he was, if I recall, he was a stay-at-home dad. And he said he really didn't have a hobby. He was with his children all the time, and he didn't have a vocation because his wife was the breadwinner. And that was the answer, and it was a great idea, and it worked. So in any case, create a niche group. And we'll talk about marketing here shortly on how you actually market to the niche group. So for right now, just know we want you to create a niche group. So everybody right now on this webinar should be writing down a group of people you feel connected to. And if you've already done a group, think of a splinter group, okay? In other words, let's say you did a group of investors who are retired Marines, okay? You can then perhaps do active duty Marines or Marine Reserves, okay? And the beautiful thing is you could do one workshop the first Wednesday of the month, retired Marines. The second week of the month, you could do active duty Marines. The third week of the month, you could do Marine Reserves. In the fourth week of the month, take off because you deserve it, okay? And you repeat that every single month. And the beautiful thing about this technique is it's really one-to-many marketing, and you only have to really work. I mean, you have to prepare, of course, but the event is once a month, and you do one-to-many marketing, all right? If we have time, I'll talk about one-to-many servicing later, which is really powerful when it comes to building a business around yourself and generating multiple streams of income. So in any case, determine your group. The next thing is way up front in the process, you have to secure a room. Now, I was just speaking with Ariana the other day in Delaware, and she had struggled with, she was trying to get a room, I think, at her church, and it just wasn't, they couldn't, come to terms. Ariana, I don't know if you're on tonight or not, I'll have to look and see. But in any case, we came up with some other ideas, and here's some other ideas. You can use, of course, your church or mosque or synagogue, whichever the case may be. I like libraries because they're considered neutral sites. If you think about it, when someone pulls up to a library or a church or a municipal building, they're generally, there's nothing for them to be guarded about. However, if they pull up in front of your real estate office, whether you're, Remax or Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams, whatever the case may be, and they see that, Keller Williams Real Estate, it may raise their guard a little bit, okay? And you've got to overcome that obstacle in your presentation. That's why personally, guys, I really like libraries because it's neutral, the site is neutral, but more importantly, what kind of a connotation does library have around it? So actually do me a favor, type in the answer there. What type of, what do we think of when we think of library? What terms come to mind? And type those in and you'll see why. You got it, guys. Learning, knowledge. Thank you, Ryan. And let's see. Dennis said the same thing, absolutely. So learning, knowledge, Lucas, hey, welcome aboard, by the way, guy. I'm glad to see you're on. Is Sam on? And by the way, Lucas, shoot me an email tomorrow or a call because I want to have a strategy call with you, and perhaps you and Sam jointly if you'd like to do that, okay? Any case, you're absolutely right. Every one of you is right. That's why I like the library, because it's non-threatening and it positions us perfectly to build solid relationships with these folks. Any case, let's get back to this the subject here so we can try to get this in. And I'll go a little bit late if we need to. I've got another webinar at 9. Some of you are actually on that one, by the way. So, which ironically has to do with doing a classroom, which is for those of you who've done workshops, we use it as a prerequisite for doing the classroom scenario, which is a more advanced program. And there's a group of 10 students who've been through it. And now we're doing a sort of a regroup here after the first month to see where we're standing. That's at 9 o'clock. The opportunity will come up again probably at the end of the year. For right now, it's that window of opportunity has passed. We don't do it all the time. We've always done it once a year in the past, but now there seems to be more demand for it. The reason is the conversion rate on those classrooms is like 93%. I mean, it's just an amazing technique. So in any case, back to this. Definitely secure a room, and boy, try to get it at least a month in advance, guys. And if you're going to a library, please write these things down. The librarian's going to ask you, is this a for-profit or non-profit event? And you want to say it's nonprofit. It's not for profit, because the reality is you're providing a forum for local investors, which meets the second criteria. It needs to be community oriented. Okay, so it needs to be, in other words, you can't charge any kind of a fee or dues for people to attend your workshop, and it has to be community oriented, which it is. You're serving investors in the community. So when you meet your library, just say, I'm creating a forum, a community of local investors. We're going to come here and meet, and I'm not going to be selling properties in the workshop, which you're not. You're not going to be in there pushing listings and things like that. That's not the intent of the workshop. So in any case, that's how you get the room for free. Now, many of you have asked me this before, can you use your office? And the answer is, you can, but like I mentioned before, just be aware that some consumers may be concerned when they drive up and see real estate on the the marquee outside, and you've got to overcome that. It's not a big deal. We have plenty of students who've done this. I think Ariana did one. Her first one years ago was in her office in Delaware. In any case, secure your location and make sure you can have it on the same night every single month. I can tell you mine were always on Wednesdays. I have done them on Tuesdays and done them on Thursdays, and they definitely work. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, all of them work. For me, Wednesday was just like ideal because it was the middle of the week. People are getting, they've got past the beginning of the week jitters and are starting to look forward to the weekend. I just thought it was an ideal time. And I always did it at 7 p.m. in your time zone. So whatever your time zone is, you choose 7 p.m. That's what worked best for me. We actually have had students do it on like a Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. and it worked. Okay, or Saturday morning and it worked. We've had people do them on Mondays, and yes, they work. I don't think anybody has ever done them on a Friday, but in most cases you'll have more luck with Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And the reason I like 7 p.m. is because it gives everybody enough opportunity to get home from work, get some food on the table, get their children started on their homework, and then get to the workshop. And they're back home from the workshop by, say, 9 p.m. in time to get their children in the bed. So to me, it was the ideal time. And I had children at the time when I first started this. So in any case, secure your location, definitely at least a month in advance, okay? So let me get back in here. We can go down to the next, come on, cursor. Here we go. All right. Oops, we just passed the one point I just made here, which is it should be nonprofit and community oriented, right? Now, I'm just going to mention this right now. We're going to go over this a little more detail, and I'm going to give you a recorded audio video session to watch on regarding Meetup. And let me just go there and show you where it is. So everybody hang in there for 1 second. I'm going to go and show you where you can find that. Okay? So move this window away from a shared application. It is pausing screen sharing. I'm not sure what that window is. Oop, hang on 1 second. Okay, let's go back here. Screen sharing is now paused. All right, if you guys can see this, I wanted to show you, for some reason this thing is behaving very oddly. I'll just tell you where it is. If you go into the My Investment Services website, okay, click on the member field. Let me see if it'll let me do that without giving me a heartache here. Okay, click on the membership area. I'm not sure why this is doing this, but I'll just get out of here because it's obviously not behaving well. Go into myinvestmentservices.com, click on the member field up in the bar up top with the different screens you can click on. Member section, go in there, and then click on silver level, which all of you are by default are silver level. Click on that, and you'll have to log in to the silver level membership section. Then once you're in there, when you scroll down, you'll go past the community site, and the very next thing you'll see is a section that says watch me how to use meetup.com. I want you to click on that. You don't have to do it now, of course, but do it tonight or tomorrow and watch it. It's only about 15 minutes, but it shows you exactly how to use Meetup to create a specific group for your niche. okay? Now, if we have time, we'll dig into it at the end of this webinar here. But for right now, I just want to tell you where that location is, that file location, for you to download onto your hard drive and keep it and watch it and take notes, okay? It's a very powerful tool for building a workshop forum, all right? Now, once you've created your online meetup, okay, Meetup will for you do some promoting, and what it'll do is it'll take your keywords and key phrases, and that'll make more sense once you watch that recording, and go out to find other meetup groups in your area that have matching keywords and key phrases. And what Meetup does is it notifies all those members of your new group and invites them to join your group. They do all that within 72 hours. Just to give you an idea of how powerful this is, another one of our students, Anna Jenkins and Rick Benez, set their first workshop up last February, I think the first weekend in February. And they notified me, so I looked at it. They set it up on Saturday, sometime in the afternoon. On Sunday, about 24 hours later, they already had 48 registrants, okay? 48 people had joined their group. So it's that fast. Now, don't just rely on Meetup to do your promotions for you. What I really want you to do is this. Every one of you should be on Facebook, LinkedIn, and even Twitter if you like. And you can promote your Meetup group on those three sources of social media. Promote it on Facebook to your followers, promote it on LinkedIn, promote it on Twitter. Okay, drive people to your Meetup page so that they sign up and register, and then they can be invited to your first workshop. There's a number of things you can do too. You should also send that same link out in an email campaign to your database. So now you've got another way to promote this event. You've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you've got email. Of course, Meetup is going to do its own promotions for you. You can text people, you can do snail mail if you can send flyers in the mail. You can certainly phone call some of your key contacts, people that you really want to be there, call them directly. All right, you can post flyers, in the grocery store. Sometimes you can post flyers in the library where you're going to have your meeting. There's a number of locations where you can post flyers, okay? Even in your church bulletin if you go to church. You can even do a PR release. PR releases are not that difficult to do. You can do them online now. What I'm getting at is use as many channels as you can to promote your Meetup group, and this will drive up your response rate. And just so you know, the average turnout is around 20 people at your first workshop. If you just look around and you'll see, like Rick and Anna had 24 people sign up and 16 showed up at their first one. Tanya, Beth, and Monisha had 29 registered. I think 24 showed up. So in any case, there's all kinds of success stories around the U.S. and Canada. And by the way, there are investor groups, investor clubs in all the major Canadian cities. This came up before, but I was just in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal, and they all have their own Meetup group. They all have their own RIA groups, Real Estate Investors Association. Okay, so in every town, usually in the States, has one. If you don't have one in your town, guess what? You get to be first, and guess who gets the gold? That's right, you do. So, in any case, what I want to do now is talk about preparing for the workshop itself. But before we do, let me check and see if we have questions. Tiffany, how do you advertise workshop? Good question, Tiffany. I think we just covered that. But Tiffany, just remember, please watch the recording on how to use Meetup, because that's going to be, it's very inexpensive. I think it's like $15 or something to start it. And it'll give you a massive jump start on your promotions, okay? And then you use your other sources promotions for yourself. And most of these are free, right? You might spend a little money on a PR campaign. Maybe it won't cost much because there's ways you can do it for free too. But flyers may be a little bit of paper. Phone calls might be a little bit of time, right? Texting might take some time. Emails will take some time. But essentially, you can do a lot of this literally almost for free. So let's see. Greg Lawrence. Hey, Greg Lawrence. Okay, came in late. Are we going to be getting what he is showing us on screen in an email? So, Gregor, yes, I'm going to, when Beverly sends the email out tomorrow, you're going to get all this information, okay? The checklist, the transcription, the recording, everything. You're going to get everything, okay? Let's see, Justin is asking, what login info do we use to get access to the myinvestmentservices.com? So Justin, go back to the email that Beverly sent you when you originally signed up for the program. Once she processed you, she sent you an email with welcome and some instructions to follow. One of those instructions, Justin, was your login and default password for that website, okay? So look for that, and you should have that. Greg says, "Thank you." You're welcome, Greg. I appreciate your comments. Okay, let's let you take a quick deep breath here, and please get a fresh piece of paper, because we're now going to talk about the agenda for the workshop, what the itinerary is going to be, and how you actually pull it off. Okay. It's actually quite easy, to be honest with you. In fact, I probably over talk this, but I would rather take my time and give you too much information, because once you realize how easy it is to pull off, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And don't be afraid to contact each other and share information and ask questions. I mean, so far everybody in the program has been quite friendly and supportive and offering help to each other. We've had people share their own spreadsheets for school reports, and even workbooks they've created, like the booklets for sending to chiropractors and dentists and engineers and so forth. Students have been sharing those things back and forth all over the place. So please don't be shy and jump in, communicate, and network with each other. Okay. So back to the format of the workshop itself. Definitely please take these notes. Number one is, in your material you have a lot of different forms, checklists, information sheets, analysis forms, all types of forms you can use for analyzing flips and analyzing rentals, cash flow worksheets, things like that. What I want you to do is go in, again, a lot of these will be in the membership section down towards the bottom of the silver level area that you're in, that your members in. Just scroll down. It's going to take a while because there's a lot of recordings to go through. And by the way, all those recordings are yours, guys, to keep forever. All right, download them and save them. Create CDs or DVDs if you want. By the way, you can create. There's a free app you can get online. Just Google YouTube to MP3 converter, and you can strip off the audio and make an MP3 file and copy that onto a CD, or just save it onto your phone if you want, and then you can listen to audio. So in any case, back to this. A lot of these worksheets are also in the training material too. So remember, the training material is just summary level. That's like maybe 10% of the value of the program. But a lot of these forms are in there that are just typically going to be in PDF format. The actual original worksheets themselves are on the website for you to download. And the reason we want you to have the originals is they're in Word format or in Excel spreadsheet format. So you can modify them. You can put your name on them and your address and your contact information, okay? So when you give them to your consumers, it has your information on there, okay? It's a great way to brand yourself. So every one of those worksheets, cash flow worksheets, what have you, make sure at the top or the bottom you put something like courtesy of Lucas, all right? And your phone number and email address, okay? But in any case, bring those with you, bring stacks of them, so you can hand those out to the attendees at your workshop, and each person will have their own set of worksheets. All right, now, what I suggest is this. When you're going through examples, like you're going to use these worksheets to go over sample properties, which is number 8 here. You want to pick properties from your MLS system. Let's just take rentals, for example, right now. Look for samples of rental properties on your MLS. Some that are sold, some that are under contract, some that are actively listed, if there are any, okay? And print those off. Not all of them, but maybe like one of each. Or maybe you just chose to use all the sold ones because they actually sold, so you can show people this is actually what's sold and here's what it's sold for, so they get a better, clearer expectation of the marketplace, okay? which is really important for us. But also it's the real deal. Something that's actively listed or under contract hasn't actually sold. So it's not like you can guarantee, hey, this is the actual pricing right now in our area for these types of properties. But in any case, what I'm getting at is you want to print those off and make copies of them. So each participant in your workshop is going to have their own set of properties to look at too. And what they're going to do is they're going to start using these worksheets and calculators, practicing using them on the sample properties, okay? And so what's happening is in this workshop now, they're getting engaged, right? They're rolling up their sleeves, they're getting out pen, pencil, paper, calculators, and getting engaged in the process. And there's three very important things here to remember. When it comes to building relationships with people, particularly clients, the more you can get them engaged and involved, the more solid the relationship is. They'll respect you more, they'll trust you more, they'll like you more, because quite frankly, you are coming from contribution, you're serving them, which is really what we're all about. I mean, we're by nature, we're servants, we're serving other people. So play that role and play it well. Give them everything they need, don't hold anything back, show them how to use these things, and they'll be grateful for you and be your clients forever. Yeah, every now and then you'll get somebody who's quite frankly just maybe not the kind of person you want to work with. But for the most part, you'll be able to identify very clearly in the workshop who it is you do want to work with. You want to work with people who are action takers, who are getting engaged, who are showing commitment, okay? So this isn't just you showing them how they can participate in investing. This is you allowing them to show you with their behavior who it is you want to work with, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, next thing here. Before you get into all of this, having them work on sample properties using your worksheets, you actually have to kick the thing off, right? So what I do is this. I would Google the night before real estate and print off at least one article. Maybe it's a blog, maybe it's a podcast I watched and I took notes on it. I would print that and take it with me and hand that out, okay? And there's all kinds of real estate news literally almost every day, and usually even related to your area. Okay, rent controls, people who were behind, percentage of people behind on their mortgages, the percentage of people renting, the percentage of evictions, all this data is available to you. So what you should do, or what I recommend you doing, is this: bring in that article, and when you first kick off the meeting, now let everybody have a few minutes to commingle and interact and get to know each other, so networking. So always give them a few minutes of networking in the beginning, and then when you start the meeting, say 10 minutes or 15 minutes in, go over the article, all right, and why it's important to them. Then you hand out all the worksheets, and then you hand out the sample properties and have them get busy starting to work on those properties to check things out. You can do rentals this time. The next time you could do flips. All right, the next time you could do mixed-use properties. But what will happen is over time, you want to give a little bit of time for everybody to do this in the beginning, because each week or each month, you'll attract new people, and the new people have to go through this exercise. The ones who have been through it before, just let them communicate with each other and have some roundtable discussions, which is the other part of the meeting. Always leave time for them to have roundtable discussions, and what you want to do is go visit each table throughout the next half hour. Sit at the table, just take notes and listen to what questions you have, and listen to the stories that they're telling. All right. So in any case, so you kick off the meeting by reading an article, then you have them, I would actually, as a guru, this is my recommendation to you, break them up into individual tables by subject matter. So you'd have one table talk about flipping, one table talk about buying rentals, one table talk about property management, landlord-tenant issues, rehab, financing, all that. So roundtable discussions are a very important key to this process, and they love it. They love that open forum, okay? So when you're doing that, you're also opening up the door for more networking, which is what you want to do at the end. Also, so at the very end of the meeting, make sure you save about 15 minutes for open, we call it open mic, just Q&A. People raise questions, and you encourage the group to pitch in and provide their answers, and you, of course, answer too. So one of the smartest things you can do is at the end of the meeting when you have open Q&A, don't just feel like you've got to answer everything yourself. Call on the group, say, okay, group, raise your hand, who's got a potential solution here? And let the group participate in providing the answers. Okay, so that's the end of the meeting. Now the kicker here is this. A lot of new students will plan a really robust agenda for their workshops, thinking that's going to be an hour. The reality is you will easily burn through an hour and you won't even know where the time went. So most times your workshop will stretch into 2 hours. So what I recommend you do is feel free to create an agenda. If no doubt about it, just have an agenda. But just know this. The time's going to fly and you likely will not go through everything. So you want to just focus on the key components, which is introduction, a little bit of handshaking, a little bit of networking, go over the recent news article, all right, practice using the forms, and then roundtable discussions. And at the end, group level open mic Q&A and one final round of networking and shaking hands. That will probably take you to an hour and a half, and you don't want to go much past that because people will get tired. I've seen the investor clubs, people go from 7 till 10 at night. It's just too long. You'll lose them. They'll start to fade out on you. I found out if I can keep it to under 2 hours, I got much higher conversion rates and more people showed up, and also they kept bringing people with them. So in any case, let's do a quick checker on questions, and I'm going to get into how you actually prepare for this and how you increase your show rate. So we'll do that next, but first, let me cue that up. Let me go back to the questions and see if we have any new questions here. So if you got questions, please type them in. Let me know. It's going to take a second for me to go back through here. Let's see. Mark Hamilton says this occurs in our first workshop, question mark. Yes. So that's in your first workshop, Mark. And then going forward, yeah, Mark says, yeah, or asking is when they're brand new, and yes, the answer is yes. Okay. Now, Lucas is asking, hey Gary, is this our very first module? No, Lucas, these weekly webinars are not they're not necessarily aligned with the training modules. These are open mic workshops that we're on now, webinars. And the reason is every week you the students email me and tell me, what you're working on, what challenges you're having, what questions you have, and I use that to determine the subject matter. Look, I'm looking at some typos here. I use that to determine the subject matter for the next webinar. So if there's something you want to discuss, Lucas, please email me ahead of time and let me know that. This particular information here is actually introduced in Module 4, but remember, the modules on the training are simply brief introductory summary level things. The real meat is in the member section of the website. And then the third part is, of course, us working together through strategy calls. So, Lucas, I apologize. I think I'm realizing now why you asked that question earlier. It's just a point of confusion. So, yeah, so definitely take notes on this, Lucas. And when you get to Module 4, this will make a lot more sense. And if you go online to the silver level membership section, Lucas, you'll see all this out there. Right? It's tons and tons and tons of stuff. So Dennis is saying excellent outline. Well, thank you, Dennis. I think you might have been one of the ones asking for this, so I apologize. I didn't have it the last time. We actually had it available. I just didn't have it on my computer. So now I do. So thank you for your comments. Okay, Gregory is asking, okay, video for meetup.com. I missed it. Oh, so Gregory, when you go to the silver level membership section and you log in, as you begin to scroll down, it's towards the top. So the first thing you'll see is the community site, and then just past the community site, you'll see a picture of a video, a slide from a video, and the verbiage beside it says, watch me or watch this video, how to use Meetup. So it's very close to the top. In the silver level section, you'll see that. So you click on it, it'll take you to another location where that file is actually housed, and you can actually watch it right there if you want, or again, strip off the audio or simply download it onto your hard drive. The way we designed this is we made it so you can actually save everything permanently. So it's not like you do this for a year and then your year's up and you're on your own. You actually can keep this forever, So Gregory, that's what that is. Okay, let's see. Tiffany is asking, can you talk more about the roundtable discussion after the worksheet and sample property time? Yes. So Tiffany, actually what's happening is, this is the coolest thing of all. And when I stumbled across this accidentally and actually had other, um, professional quote unquote gurus tell me I was crazy for doing this, they said you should always keep control of the meeting. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with them, but what I find out, Tiffany, is um, consumers love that open roundtable discussion format. It's comfortable for them. They feel like they can be at ease and share information and not be threatened or not feel like they got to compete with everybody. Um, it's basically you share everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So my thought was, I want them to hear everything. I want them to know everything that goes on in this business, because sometimes mistakes are made. We're all human, right? I mean, heck, I've made mistakes. So I don't want people thinking this is just a tiptoe through the tulips. I mean, when you push yourself, when you push the envelope, things don't always go the way you want them to, but successful people get back up on the horse and keep riding, okay? So I want them to be engaged with each other, having these discussions, realizing that, maybe Mark Hamilton has 4 rental properties now, and he may look like he's doing great, and he probably is, but the fact is he had to start with 1, and chances are he had a few bumps in the road. I want these other students to hear that. I want them to know exactly what happened so they can be prepared for it, so they're not surprised, because when people are surprised, that's when they feel their defense kicks in. They're thinking, maybe there's something wrong here. Maybe there's something wrong with me. When they see other people going through growing pains, which is natural. If you're not going through growing pains, you're superhuman. But when you witness other people going through it, it gives you courage and confidence to continue yourself. So Tiffany, I know I'm getting philosophical here, but it really is important. In fact, Mark can tell you about that because of his background. It absolutely works. And the more open and candid you are with people by sharing in these open roundtable discussions, the more successful they're going to be long term, and the more they'll realize you really are there to help them. So the subject matter, I think what you're getting at, Tiffany, is what did they talk about? Well, I would have each table set up by subject. One table would talk about flipping, one table would talk about buying rentals, landlord or tenant issues, so forth and so on. And they actually start themselves. One guy will say, well, let me just tell you what's happening with me right now. I'm evicting a tenant and so forth and so on. And then Tiffany, the other thing I did was I encouraged them to get up throughout the evening and change tables. Like if they've gotten what they needed to get from the flipping table, go run over to the rental table. And man, it is awesome to watch this happen. I mean, this is unfolding before your very eyes, and these people are engaging with each other, engaging with you. At the end of the night, they're thanking you for doing this because they're not getting this at the other investor clubs. So in any case, you don't want to prescribe the subject matter. Tiffany, you let them, you're giving them the free rein to do that. And then with Tiffany, what I suggest you do is you yourself go around from table to table and just listen to what they're saying and take notes, because they're telling you in their words, in their dialogue, what they need from you. All right, they're going to hear the challenges that they're having, and you can go back and gather information and help them solve their problems and serve their needs by being prepared. And they're telling you exactly what you need to be preparing on. It's one of the best scenarios I've ever seen in my life. And quite frankly, people, I mean, we have, there's one gentleman he's in Washington, D.C. He said one time, even when it snows, 200 people show up. He has 600 people in his group, okay? It's just amazing the growth that you can experience when you follow the format. And quite frankly, you don't have to spend a lot on marketing. In fact, I've never spent a dime on marketing this particular method here. So, in any case, Tiffany, I hope that helps you. But the reality is you want to let the people come up with the subject of the discussion. Okay. Well, Lucas is asking, where do I get the first module? I think I might have missed one since last time I saw you. Yeah, Lucas, you should have an email from Beverly. The first email you got after you sign up was from Beverly, and it gives you the instructions to follow, which gives you access to the training platform, which is called Digital Chalk. That's one access. The other access is to myinvestmentservices.com, the silver level. And the third access is to the community site, which you get to from the server level membership section. So there's 3 points of access, and that's all in that first email you got from Beverly. And your first module is in there. You do that, then you have to wait 7 days, and you get the second module, and then 7 days you get the third module. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Lucas. Okay, let's see. Brian says, good outline, review from past webinars. Good to hear the second time around. Gregory says, thanks. You're welcome, Gregory. Enza, okay, I assume we have to complete all the modules before we conduct our first workshop. Enza, actually, it's really up to you. I mean, I've always maintained that I would prefer that the newer agents get at least through Module 4. Module 4 is the introduction to all of the marketing techniques, but just like in summary fashion. You still have to go online on the server level membership section to get the details on all those methods, okay? But we have plenty of students. I mean, like the first month, they're cranking out the booklet, they're doing the workshop. I mean, you know, people using the letter. We've got great success with the letter. They're not waiting till the end of the program. If it's really what you're most comfortable with, Enza. But on average, I would say when you get to Module 4, you're probably ready to rock and roll. Most people are very hungry at that level. You know, they're saying, okay, Gary, I want to get going, and we do a strategy call. So when you're ready, just email me. Let's do a set up a strategy call. You tell me what program you want to work on, which method, and I'm going to walk you through the launch sequence. Okay, Enza? Okay, good. Let's see. Mark says, and that is expected at a meetup group networking. Absolutely. Yeah, meetup. So really what we're doing, Mark, is we're actually using the tools designed exactly the way they're designed. You know, we're not trying to create anything or make something up on our own. We're just using the tools that are available to us that work perfectly the way they're designed. Okay, this is Lucas says, okay. Lucas says, can we have some examples of some success stories for the workshops and also things that have not worked well, things that some potential investors might be questioning? Yeah, I'll tell you what, Lucas, I think this may be your first webinar, your first weekly webinar. So what will happen is if you go onto the community site, you're going to see all the other agents out there that have created their profiles, okay, and you can contact them and see what they've done. I will tell you, if you want to, you can Google these people, look them up too. So Lucas, go online when we're done tonight and Google Meetup and type in Hoover, Alabama, okay, and you'll get the meetup group for Tanya, Beth, and Monisha, okay, and then go to Stafford, Virginia, and type in Home Dream Team, and also, let's see, Anna Jenkins, Rick Benez, B-A-N-E-Z. You'll see their meetup group. You can go to Lexington, Kentucky, and type in Daniel David. Daniel David, one of the first people to use the workshop, and I think in his 10th month he had like 160 something people or something. So there's a number of examples out there, Lucas. You just have to go find them. We've had bunches of people do that, but those are the three that come to mind. Natasha Tomlinson in Phoenix, Arizona. She's actually on tonight, by the way. Natasha, could you maybe post yours, the name of your meetup, or I can't remember the name, but Lucas, if she types it in, just go Google meetup in Phoenix area, look for Natasha Tomlinson, and her first one was small. It was maybe like a couple people, and then it went to, I forget how many, 6 people, and I think it grew again, and she started getting clients right away, you know. So it was excellent example there. So actually that's a good example of where, you know, she didn't get as many people as she wanted on the first one, but she kept at it. And she kept going, you know. Let's see. Okay, I think we're caught up with questions, so let's do this. I want to talk about one more thing here, and this is what's called your show rate. So there's your registration, and then there's your show up, okay? So let's say you have 30 people register. Sadly, the industry average is your show rate may be somewhere between 10 and 20 if you're lucky. Usually it's on the low end. And the reason is most people don't know how to do pre-event reminders, okay? So our ratio is actually very good. We're more like on the 2/3 ratio or better. So ours are hands down industry best. And here's why. You can, again, this will be in the cheat sheet that you're going to get tomorrow, but please just take notes to help kind of intensify the retention rate, your retention rate. So number one is the day before your workshop, send out an email reminder to everybody who's registered, okay? You could also send out a message from your meetup. If you go online to meetup, you can send out a message that comes from meetup. Maybe do that the day before. In the morning of, do an email, okay? I also suggest you do a third reminder, which is sometime during the day, preferably like in the afternoon, all right? Maybe late afternoon. Don't wait too late. Don't wait till like 6 p.m. Do it somewhere around 4 or 5, okay? So as people are getting off work, they say, oh yeah, I got to do the workshop tonight. Send them a text message, all right? And if there's people that you really, really want there, give them a phone call and ask them for a phone call to come up, okay? And then you hold your workshop. And the reality is we've had show up rates greater than 2/3, sometimes as high as, well, I think it was like 80% in one case. That is really good, okay? So you hold your workshop, and then you just get up in the beginning, do your article, speak for about 5 minutes, start handing out the worksheets and the sample properties, and have them practice, and then again have roundtable discussions and some networking. And by the way, one caveat here, I think some people might be confused. Each time you have a meeting, bring in different properties. And what you want to start doing is this. Bring in, let's say you found some properties yourself, for some of your clients brought in properties. Encourage them to bring in their properties to get the group to do what if scenarios on their sample property. So let's say somebody says, hey, I think I found a property we want to make an offer on. We just found it yesterday or last week. Bring it into the workshop, put it on paper, have everybody take a stab at it and see how they can make it work. I mean, there's all kinds of what if scenarios. So keep that in mind. It's not like you're, every month you're bringing in the same properties, you're doing just necessarily beginner stuff. Use real world cases to instruct, and it actually helps the people who might be buying these properties. And one more thing, perhaps the most important, you want to benefit from this, right? So what I do is this. In the workshops over time, more and more people come up to you and say, look, I really want to do this. I'm sitting at a table with Natasha Tomlinson, and she's in your workshop, and she just flipped her first property. And Mark Hamilton just did his first rental property. I want to do it now. I want to, how do I do this? What you want to do is interview them, set up a phone interview with them. I suggest doing it the very next day. Walk through the questions, okay? Help them determine what do they want to focus on. They want to focus on flips. Do they want to focus on rentals? Qualify them. Remember, you want to qualify every investor you work with, financially speaking. Ask them what do they have in savings. Ask them what is their credit score. Ask them if they have an available line of credit. Okay, treat them like a professional and treat yourself like a professional, and you'll have a professional relationship that will profit you. So that's why we're able to say to the librarian, we're not selling anything in this meeting. We're really not. We're developing a client base, and we have people doing, I think I was doing 6 to 8 transactions a month just on this one technique, okay? But in any case, once you have them on the phone one-on-one, then you can establish that special relationship and have them do a buyer's agency agreement if that's the case, or if they're selling something, of course, set up the listing appointment. And real quick, I think Natasha just responded. Oh, she did. Okay, thanks, Natasha. All right, so Natasha's group is, for those of you who want to look it up, Phoenix Veterans Meetup - Pathway to Investing. Ooh, I like that. So Phoenix Veterans Meetup - Pathway to Investing. So if you want to see how LaTanya's done hers, or the wording, the description, the About Us section, which was your keywords and key phrases, thank you, Natasha, for sharing that, okay? Now, I think that is it. Sorry, we got a little bit more here. Sorry, guys, we're almost done. In any case, back to the interview. So interview them, qualify them, okay? Also, I'm glad I saw this. always ask them after the phone interview to email you with a recap of your conversation. Boy, I hope nobody logged off here yet. This is really important. This is a commitment test. You're testing them to see if they're really willing and able to commit with you, to work with you. When they send the email back, they're demonstrating commitment. They're demonstrating engagement, okay? They're demonstrating the fact that they're taking action, all right? And now you have a client that you can work with. And I suggest only work with the ones who email you back. The ones that don't email you back, chances are they're going to be quite difficult to work with out in the marketplace. So this final wrap up here, boy, I tell you what, that's probably, this is where the money's made. Like if you just stop up here after number 13, you've missed the boat. You've got to follow through with number 14, number 15, number 16, right? 17 and 18. And this is you taking action now. So this is where you capitalize. This is what Beth Arnold, Manisha Munakar, and Tanya Smitherson did on the very first workshop and got 4 clients on the very first workshop. They were literally showing houses the very next day. It's that fast, okay? So any case, we're exactly 2 minutes past the hour. So let's go ahead and stop here. I just want to show you that tomorrow you will get the checklist. You will get this, the transcription, okay? And you will also get, whoops, hang on a second here. This thing is giving me a little bit of a brain freeze. Let's go back to here. There we go. Back to the checklist. So you'll get those 3 things in the email tomorrow, or the 2 things. You'll get the transcription, you'll get the checklist, and then Beverly's going to remind you of the 2 webinars that you want to watch. And if you could all do me a favor, for those of you who are going to be doing this in the next 30 days, please go ahead and do the first couple things. Determine your niche group, okay? Secure your location, all right? And then 2 weeks out, schedule a strategy call so we can go over things one-on-one. You know, your scripting, I want you to show me your meetup group. I want you to, let's go over how are you going to communicate with your database, all these things, okay? Very, very important. Let's see, we got some new questions. Hang on 1 second. So Natasha's saying, absolutely, you're welcome. Thanks, Natasha. Lucas is saying, by the way, congratulations. Thanks, Lucas. Yeah, we had a great time. And, you know, of course, I just left Montreal yesterday. I'm in Vermont right now, but Peggy's coming to meet me next weekend. We're going to Martha's Vineyard, Cape Cod, and Nantucket. And then I'll be back in Canada for a whole week at the end of September. And matter of fact, Lucas, I'll be back in the Toronto area for a week, so maybe we can meet up. In fact, Lucas, if you can do your first meetup and schedule it for that week, I'll come and visit your meetup and speak with you if you want for 5 minutes, okay? Speak to your group. Let's see, one more thing. Oh, I'll be back for obviously Canadian Thanksgiving too. So in any case, thank you guys for participating tonight. This was a great session, lots of interaction. I hope this really helped you grasp more firmly how to do a workshop. I know some of you are probably more hesitant because you don't feel like you're prepared for it yet, knowledge-wise and experience-wise. You know, just do it. Just really, just put one foot in front of the other and get the first one done. And Natasha will tell you, you get that first one done, and I tell you, it gets a lot easier. You realize you really are capable of doing this, right, Natasha? You know, just don't let fear stop you guys. I mean, you don't play the game to not lose. Play the game to win. Okay, there's a big, big difference. And I tell you, if you can make that mind shift and put yourself out there, just know you got plenty of support, not just me, but your offices, your brokerage company. Plus, we've had over 1,100 people come through this program. Many of them are still involved. They're staying involved past their year. You can tap into their knowledge also. So in any case, I appreciate you. I will look forward to seeing you all next week. That will be Wednesday the 6th, is that right? Yes, Wednesday the 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern. And let's just keep rocking and rolling, okay, guys? All right, I hope you all have a wonderful week coming up here and weekend. God bless you all, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Oh, wait, a couple more questions. Hang on 1 second. Thanks, Gary. Gregory, I'm going to get started on this right away. Excellent. Mark says, thank you, Gary. I have developed many more questions. Okay. Hey, Mark, yeah, set up a strategy call. Use the time trade link so we can get through that. Yeah, Natasha says, rip it off like a Band-Aid. I couldn't have said it better myself. Gregory says, I don't have a login. Hey, Greg, email Beverly. It should be in the very first email that you got from Beverly when you first registered for the program. Your login and default password, you want to change it once you get it or log in for the first time. So look for that first email, okay? And if you don't find it, obviously just email Jody or Beverly. In Natasha's voice, she's a trooper. You can do it. That's exactly right. You can do it. Greg says he checked his email. So, okay, definitely email or call the office. 1-800-931-2605. 1-800-931-2605. And also check spam and junk folders too, just to be safe. But don't think you're squared away. Thank you, Lucas. God bless you too. Gregory, you emailed her. Call then. If you've emailed, generally she emails right away. And if you're not getting email back, that tells me there's some block. Maybe your server's blocking them, Gregory. That's happened before, by the way. But Beverly's like she's the gold standard for administrators. So Lucas says it was an awesome webinar. Almost did not make it. Glad I did. Well, thank you, Lucas. Kathleen says thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks to everyone, says Lucas. Okay, guys. Hope you have an awesome night, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.